And we already know how it looks on us. Now the final result. I'm going to show you how to weave it in a lighter shade, so that you can see it at home. I make a ring or a magic circle. And I start knitting. Single stitch we are going to knit this time. 8 starting stitches. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. 6, 7. Why 8 single stitch? Loose here we are going to leave pending. I'm going to pull the start cord. And the first circle that closes. You have already seen which circle closed. Well, the first circle I close is the one we are going to throw away. To close first. And once it has been closed, then we pull the start cord and that's it. This is the easiest way to close a yellow circle or ring. I will now withdraw my marker. And in that stitch here, I'm going to lose the little piece of material, and I make my first single stitch. There I place my marker and in the same space my friends. Let's knit a second single stitch. In the stitch following 2 single stitch. In the stitch following 2 single stitches. In which the following are 2 single stitches. And so on until the end of the round. Once my round is over, I have to have 16 single stitch left. In total I was placing 2 in each space. Now I make here a single stitch, I place my marker. And in this round we are going to play 1. And in which 2. So I'll switch to the next one and make 1. 2 single stitches in the same space. And in which it follows a single stitch. In which 2 1 2 follows. Followed by a single stitch. And in which 1 follows. And 2. And so I will continue to the end a single stitch. And in which 1 follows. And 2 One time my round is over I withdraw my scoreboard. And I do my first single stitch from the next round. In this round, we should have had 24 single stitches left. Now I will continue to weave. 1 single stitch for each space. Single stitch next single stitch. And on this occasion I am not going to make increases, nor decreases. Only, we will be weaving a single stitch for each space. To the end. Once my round is over I will withdraw my marker. And I make a single stitch. So far look I have in this case. 1 2 3 rounds we did. This is the starting one, this is the 2 for each space. In the following one we will have 1 and 2. And in this one we have just finished. Is the round without increases or decreases. Then I have 1 2 3 and 4 rounds. We are going to knit round number 5 and we are going to knit it without increases or decreases. Then I will knit round 5 6 7 and 8. We are going to knit it without increases or decreases and return. And I will let you know if I did more or less to the round. Number in this case would be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 true. To round number 8 and back. I want to show you friends. And what I have already achieved. Here is the center, I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 rounds. In total I am going through round number 9. For her I will start as follows. Here I will take half of the chain stitch. I'm going to move on to the next one. taking only half of the chain stitch. And I make my single stitch. I move on to the next stitch and do a single stitch. I move on to the next one, I take half of the chain stitch. Next half of the chain stitch. And I make a single stitch in the one that follows. Solo un single stitch. In which it follows. I take half the chain stitch. Half of the chain stitch. And do my stitch, in this case a single stitch. And in which it follows. A single stitch. And I'm going to do this until the end of my whole round. A decrease. And followed by a single stitch. In which there follows a decrease. And followed by a single stitch until the end of it. Once my round is over, I'm going to move on to where I have my marker. And here is where I have my marker. I am going to make lifting decrease. In which it continues to rise. You unsingle stitch. And here I am going to place my marker again. I'm going to move on to the next stitch. I will take lifting, lifting and closing. They are all going to be like this with pure single stitch. And in this part, my friends, must be filled in before closing. We arrange our stuffing well, look at the. And I continue to make the decreases. Until the end of my entire round. So look what I do is that. Squeeze in this part of here. I go down as the stuffing a little bit to give me room. To continue weaving. And I've already passed to the next stitch. Tome. Half of the chain stitch, next half of the chain stitch and. Single stitch, half chain stitch. This stitch was a little bit closed. In which follows. Half of the chain stitch. Y. Single stitch, I will complete my entire round. Here I finished, friends, and look. I'm going to remove my marker. And in this case, we can fill in a little more if we need to. In this case I am going to make a final decrease. I withdraw my material. With the help of my needle, we are going to do the following. We are going to pass, and we will take only half of the chain stitch. Half of the chain stitch. Look as if we were doing the decreases. Half of the chain stitch. And so on. And you can do it one stitch per stitch, if you prefer it. And once we have all the stitches, we just closed. We pass here, we can secure our stitches. And we can get to the other side. I'm going to start by securing my first stitch. And I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 chain stitches in total. Now let's pass the first chain stitch and the one that follows. I'm going to knit him single stitch. Single stitch, Y single stitch. And so I will continue to weave a single stitch. for each space until the end. My whole round. Once my round is over, I will knit a chain stitch on it. I will turn, and at the first stitch, I'm going to pick up this little piece of material. And at the same time I'm going to lose it. Why you single stitch, single stitch, and so on. I will be weaving until the end of my whole round. I am about to finish my round. This is round number 2. We will do 4 rounds the same. So I make a chain stitch. I turn and make single stitch, in which single stitch and single stitch follow, until the end of my entire round. Then I'm going to finish this, which is my round number 3. I finish my round number 4 and return with you. Until this moment, I already have these 4 rounds, and I'm going to leave a little bit of material. Make a chain stitch. I'm going to pass this stitch that I have here, I am going to pass it on. And on the other side at the top of the stitch above, I'm going to leave this one, the thread that I have left in the middle. And here I go, look. And I make a slip stitch. To close, I'm going to move on to the next space, to the next stitch, on one side. From the other side on top. And I make a slip stitch. And so from one side to the other, and slide from one side to the other. And slide. And once we have this part, look at the closure. The first is to leave this part out of here. So assembled like this, so that we can make the circle. That it looks nice on us, that is to say that it remains like this. And the other way is to hide the beginning part. And the end part. How tight is this part going to be? Well, that's how it's going to be for us. Yes, then if you are going to make the circle keychain, you are going to place this, you are going to place it like this. To make it easier for you. Then knit it like this. And so you weave your, in this case the blank circle. I'm going to show you how to make the white, so that they can do it at home. I'm going to start from the back here. I'm going to pass here. The same step. Where I just entered. There I go forward again. And this is so that we can leave our lost material. Now I'm going to do the following. I'm going to pass, and I'm going to be passing around here. Or you can do it in the circle below, as you prefer. In this case, what do you think if we do it in this? In this circle that follows. I'm going to try to do it at home. You tell me yes. Was it in the first or was it in the second? Here we have the option to go back. Look, I passed by through a place where I was not and returned. Then here. I'll come over and we'll start knitting. In this case I move on to the previous stitch. I moved on to the previous stitch. Look, and I'll pick up where I finished the previous stitch. Again. Again. And so I'm going to do this until I complete the circle. Here in this part, friends, look. What I am going to do is that since this is where the round closes, I am going to place a stitch higher like this, so that I have the prettiest circle. And if it gets complicated like this for you, my friends, well then they do it in the initial circle. Well, to make it easier. And once we complete the circle, here we have our circle left. We are going to do the following from here. We are going to lift. And watch out. This part must be under the keychain. And this part has to be on top of us. Then I'm going to pass this part up here. And we will do the following. Here in this part, I will pass from side to side. Where we are going to make the stitch of the keychain goes. Here I am going to do the stitch, and on the other side I'm going to hold it. Then I pass by. This is to ensure that we will not get rid of it. And here, I take my crochet. About this stitch, I'm going to take it from side to side. And I'm going to start knitting chain stitches. And once we have the quantity of the chain stitches we need, in this good case, I don't have many of these girls, but I have these large, but I'm going to use this little girl that fits me. And once we have the amount of chain stitches we need, here I have a little bit of material left, so I'm going to leave it here. There at home, to also take into account and let him. More material, yes, more white material. So that in fact, I was just going to make the circle with these friends. But I also decided at once, teach them how to do the part of the cord goes. Then look at. Here in this part where we place the stitch in white we pass. Yes, we can pass. And place the zipper. And here we pass once again. And as many times as we need it. And down here, my friends, I will recommend doing the rest of the closure, i.e. below. Here we can tie. We can tie a knot so that it does not go away. In this case, look at. Already stood firm here. The keychain part. And here we tie the knot. So that it does not fall apart. So that it does not deform. And then it was useful to make the circle and also to here to make the top. And here as I comment, make the knots in the house are necessary to make it look good, but well reinforced. And don't let our chain stitch. And once we have strengthened it as many times as we deem necessary, we can pass. And in the part below, my friends, we are going to lose this little piece of material. We lose it with the snow at the bottom. And with this same one we can make some stitches that fit. Here. This one I'm retiring. We will withdraw this one quickly. And we take care of this one down here. With this one I have down here, friends, look, I'll pass by. I will stop by. And the detail is just to support this part. The one here that does not take off itself. Return. And it happened the same. To another location. And I looked at the same step. I go higher. In the same space, my friends, where we passed by. I'll pass on there again. What happens when we do this? As inside there are fibers. In this case the filler fibers. Right here they are getting hooked. The material, yes, then we will pass it on. Passing through to where you prefer. And ready, we can remove the material. And this is how they will look on us. In this case the keychains, yes, I do, well. I have prepared here to make other. And let's see, this is the circle. Now let's see how to make the triangle part. But the square part. Because we already know, yes. But let's do the triangle part, then I will lead the way. Until it is white. Only on this occasion. So let's cover up this one, which was the beginning. We are going to cover up these beginnings. It does have to look like this, look. And in the part here is where we are going to do the part. So where are we going to show the triangle or the picture? Whatever we need. To make the triangle we will do the following. We are going to place our material where? We are going to occupy it. But watch out. It is very important to first place the first stitch, which is at the top. Or you can also do it below, but I'm going to check more or less to which direction I need to keep the triangle, to make it easier. And me on the back here already. I lost what I had to lose. And look, I have left a little more material for you too. Do not pass the part again. Because what happened to the gray goes, then look at. We are going to do our triangle where we with 4. Let's have more or less an idea of where we can leave it. Here I have already made the triangle, and at the top I just put the part of the chain stitches at the bottom. We already know how to fix around. And ready here, friends. To lose this one we are going to do the following. Let's move on here to the next stitch. We pass and then we pass. So from side to side, to the next stitch, where we want or create, that we will need them. And then how is the same color? Well, we're going to pass it on and it won't be noticed. Yes, we are going to pass by and look. I stop by here in this part. I went from one side to the other. And only. Don't throw too much so that it just stops. But the figurine does not deform. I move on to the next stitch, and so we are going to lose. And at the same time we will go. Sticking the red part then goes. For Lessa is. I started to teach with a color, but later I changed him to stay at home. For they could appreciate it better, and once we have already lost or has made the rounds with the stitches we need. I had already advanced it a little bit, because here we already know how we passed and where we passed. Right there we lose. Itself where we passed. We come back and that's it. And here it is. We can remove this little piece of material. And we already know how it looks on us. Now the final result.